Hi, my name's Aaron Curry, and the most important thing that I've learned is 20 years of property investing, buying over 200 properties for my personal portfolio, and having helped our clients buy over 1,000 properties with our done-for-you service, is that area is more important, in fact, far more important than discount when building a highly profitable property portfolio. I'm not going to lie to you. That's something that I totally missed in the first 10 houses I bought. And that's why the first 10 houses that I bought were a complete disaster. It wasn't until I learned from my mistakes, and more importantly, I learned from the people that became my mentors, other masters who were experts at property investing, that I discovered that the truth is that area is far more important than discount when building a highly profitable property portfolio. And this rule, by the way, is true for every property investment strategy. It's true for buy-to-let, it's true for HMOs, it's true for holiday let, it's true for service accommodation, any strategy. You see, buying a property at discount is great because you make money when you buy. But property puts money in your pocket through monthly cash flow and capital growth. And a house can only do these two things if A, it's rented, and B, it's in an area where property prices rise at least at the national average. So the real wealth in property is found in owning a portfolio for the long term. Now, just so you know, by long term, I'm thinking beyond my lifeline. I'm thinking of my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids. Because a property portfolio, a great property portfolio, is a legacy. It can pay you, it can look after you so well in your lifetime, but it's a legacy you can leave for your kids, your grandkids, and so on. So if you're going to buy a house and never sell it, if it's going to be a legacy that you can leave, then you need to know for definite that there's going to always be high rental demand. If you're going to build a buy-to-let portfolio so you can enjoy a passive property income, then you need to know that your houses will attract what I call lifer tenants. A lifer tenant is someone who says, I want to live here forever. They're going to stay in your property for at least 5 years plus or longer. And they're going to look after it like it's their own. If something breaks, they just fix it. They don't even bother calling you because they see it as their lifetime property. And a house will easily attract lifer tenants, will easily give you great monthly cash flow and great, strong capital growth if you buy in the right area. That's why area is much more important than discount for building a highly profitable property portfolio. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that discount is a bad thing. I love buying property at discount, but area is the most important. Discount is like the cherry on top. Now, as a Tony Robbins student and having trained over 100,000 ambitious property investors just in the last year alone and hundreds of thousands over the last few years, there's one strange thing about success and achievement that I've discovered. Something that I didn't see at first. You see, the truth about success and achievement in every area of your life, and especially in property investing, is that 80% of success comes from psychology and only 20% from the tool to achieve it. This is so important that I'm going to repeat it for you. 80% of success comes from mindset and only 20% from the proven systems, the expert teams, and the specific tools. And that's why in this video series, I'm going to give you the mindset skills and the skill set to build a buy-to-let property portfolio that gives you a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension would. And I'm going to teach you how you can do that in only 4 years, as long as you learn the skills to buy 3 of the right houses in these next 12 months. And by the way, anybody can do that. I don't care if you're already rich or you're starting out poor, if you've got money, if you haven't got money, if you've got experience, you haven't got money, you haven't got experience. Anybody can learn the skills to buy 3 of the right houses in the next year, and lots more if you want to do that. Therefore, anybody within 4 years can build a buy-to-let portfolio that will give you a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension does. Now, that's a big promise, and it's a lot to cover, which is why there's 4 videos in this free video series. In the first video, I revealed the 3 reasons why the property market is going to fall 5 to 10% by October, November 2020. And I also revealed when house prices will start to rise again. So if you haven't seen that video, I strongly recommend you stop and press pause on this video right now. And somewhere over on the right-hand side of this video, you'll be able to click a link and you'll be able to discover the optimum time to build a property portfolio in over a decade and when this window of opportunity will close. Video 1. In video 2, the second video in this series, I revealed the 3 ways to become a successful property investor and the 1 way that's fun, fast, and simple. So if you haven't seen that video, again, I strongly recommend that you stop this video, you click the link to the right of this video, and you'll discover the only way to become a successful property investor in a fun, fast, and simple way. And the 1 decision that you need to make today to make that happen. In the 3rd video in this series, I revealed the most powerful property success tool. So a tool that's more powerful than education, money, and time combined. And I revealed how to pick it up and use it today to start your property journey. So I'm sure you'd agree that's worth knowing about. So if you haven't seen that, then pause this video, click the link to the right of this video, and watch that video also. In today's video, I'm going to reveal why area is the more important than discount to build that highly profitable buy-to-let portfolio. And I'm going to share with you what I call my golden rules. My golden rules that I took, the last 2 decades putting together, my golden rules so that you can only ever buy world-class properties for your portfolio. Houses with high demand, great monthly cash flow, and strong equity growth. Now, before we go any further, I'd just like to explain why the video quality is not as perfect as I'd like it to be. Due to lockdown restrictions, they're easing, aren't they? But we still need to keep our distance. So I'm not working with a videographer yet. So it's literally just me with my laptop and a webcam speaking to you. And if you want to learn the mindset skills and the skill sets to build this really successful buy-to-let portfolio that's going to give you a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension would, all in only 4 years, if you want to do that, and just start by just buying 3 houses this year, that's all you need to do. And if the information to be able to do that is more important than video quality, then you'll love this 4-part video series. Okay. So, to illustrate the importance of area over discount in your property journey, I'm going to share with you a disaster story of what happens when you only focus on discount. And this story is about me, by the way. So as you know, if you watch my previous videos, my property journey started after I read a book. It was just 1 book. And that book was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it's not a how-to book. It's a concept book. So I got the concept, but I didn't get the how-to. So I started my property journey with no knowledge, and I was kind of making it up as I went along. Or a more accurate description was I ran from one crisis to another crisis to another crisis to another. And there was one crisis that cost me more sleepless nights than anything else. And it was the second property that I bought for myself. Okay. And this was in a part of Leeds called Chapeltown. You may have heard of it, you may not. Now, there's one thing that I've forgotten to mention. Okay, when I started my property journey, I knew I wanted property to be an investment. I wanted it to be an investment. So I decided that I was going to think like an investor and only look at the numbers of the deal. That way, I wouldn't let my heart hijack my decisions. The problem is, I took this line of thought far too far, because it's a good line of thought, but I took it far too far. I didn't even view the houses before buying them. So once you become an investor, it becomes all about the numbers. What discount are you going to be getting on the property? What's the cash flow going to be? What's the capital growth going to be on this property? What's the demand? How many people are interested in renting this property? You see, I had a financial background. I was a financial manager for Marks and Spencer's. I was a mortgage broker after that, and at the time that I started investing. So I thought, you know what? I'm an investor. I know all about the numbers. How hard can this be? So I used my superior investment thinking on a house that was for sale in an auction. Now, the auction made it easy for me not to view their property because they had pictures of the house. Back then, 20 years ago, you didn't always get the pictures up front. So I looked at the numbers, I looked at the pictures in the brochure, and I made a simple decision. The guide price for this property was £20,000, and the rental income was £6,500 a year. Okay, the house was split into 2 flats. I was like, this is unbelievable. It's £20,000 to buy it, and it's £6,500 a year. That's a 30% return on investment. This is totally and utterly a no-brainer for me. And now the house had 2 tenants living in it. One person lived upstairs, the other person lived downstairs. So I look at the pictures in the brochure, I check the tenancy agreements, it all looks like an amazing deal. So I bid at the auction. I didn't even go to the auction. How much of an investor I wanted to be. I'm not going to travel to the auction and back. I'll bid on the phone. And I ended up buying this property for £21,000. The income's going to be £6,500 a year. This is a dream. I wanted as many of these dream properties as I could possibly get. This was number 2. I wanted loads. So I bought this property in Chapeltown, and I lived about 70 miles away back then in Scarborough. So I wrote to the tenants, I explained that I was the new landlord and they needed to start paying the rent to me, okay? Nothing happened. So I wrote to the tenants again. I didn't have their phone number, so I couldn't call them. Still no rent comes in. Eventually, I realized I'm going to have to go to the house and speak to the tenants. And I was busy in my job at the time, so I really didn't want to do this. I didn't want to have to go and drive over. But one Sunday afternoon, I go to drive over. I take Adam with me, my son. He's about 7 at the time. And we drive over, and I pull up outside this property at Chapeltown. Now, by the way, as I turned onto the street that my house was on, it kind of was a downhill street. On the top corner there are people that, to me, look scary as hell. Okay, they're hanging out in a gang on the top corner. As I'm driving down the street, there's another gang on this side. I don't like the look of them either. And I look up and down the street as I park outside my house, and literally every house on the street has got bars on the windows to stop people breaking in. I've literally never been to a street like this before. Okay, that's the truth. That's the truth of the matter. So I pull up. I'm shocked. I'm afraid. I've got to go in the house to try and find the tenants. And the big question on my mind is, do I get Adam out of the car? He's 7. Do I get him out of the car and take him with me, or do I leave him locked in the car? And I eventually make the decision to leave my 7-year-old locked in the car. So I'm going as fast as I can now because I hate that he's locked outside. I'm knocking on the front door. No one's answering. I'm ringing the bell that's broken, and eventually somebody lets me in. And what I find that the ground floor is totally empty. The carpets have been taken. They've disappeared probably a long time ago. And this is supposedly a rental property that I've got a tenant in, and it's totally empty. And there's all sorts of kind of drug-type paraphernalia. I've not taken drugs. I've not been around drugs, so I don't really know what it is. It doesn't look good. Now, I make my way upstairs, and I'm shouting, hello? Hello? And somebody shouts back from upstairs. And eventually I get upstairs, and I walk into what is their lounge area upstairs. And there's 6 massive guys just all sat around. And they're so chilled, it's unbelievable. They're like, yeah, man. And there's this haze of smoke, and it's just obvious that they're totally high on something. And I'm like, hi, I'm looking for Richard. You know, Richard, you're the tenant. Who's Richard? Who's Richard? And it literally takes me about 3 minutes to get anything out of him. It's such a surreal experience. And Richard eventually goes, yeah, man, that's me, man. And I go, great, you're Richard, great. I just need you, Richard. I just need you to tell Housing Benefit. He didn't even pay the rent. I just need you to tell Housing Benefit to pay the rent to me. I'm the new landlord. Could you, there's a letter here. You just need to take the letter down to Housing Benefit and tell them to pay me the rent instead of paying your previous landlord. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow, man. Tomorrow, man. And I know this is never going to happen. He's never going to go to Housing Benefit. All he has to do is give them the letter and I get paid. Now, I go back downstairs, and all this time I've been nervous as heck for Adam outside. I go to have a quick look in the back garden of the property, and the back wall is really, really high. And then it's about 10 foot high. You've got barbed wire across the top of the back wall. I'm like, this is horrendous. This is absolutely horrific. So I'm back through the house, past the drug paraphernalia, out the front door, down the steps, back in the car, as fast as I possibly can. And I've hopefully got this person to start paying me rent, which he, of course, never, ever does. So I drive back to Scarborough. I don't know what to do with this property. Rent's not coming in. You know, it's turned in from this most amazing deal to a total disaster. It's making me nothing, and I'm having to pay the mortgage on it. And I call a builder, and I said, look, the downstairs area, I need to get it refurbished. It's derelict, but I need to get it refurbished. But I said, look, there's some stuff down there. Just be careful. Now, the builder goes down, and a few days later, he calls me. He says, Aaron, I can't work on it. He says, it's like the route. If I park my van out there, someone's going to steal the van or steal my tools. Downstairs full of needles. I can't ask my team to work in there. So I've literally got this amazing property that's going to make me a 30% return on investment, and it's making me zilch, zero. In fact, it's negative. It's losing me money, negative ROI, because I'm paying the mortgage every month, and I'm clueless about what to do. I just don't know what to do. A few weeks later, while I'm struggling with what to do and what to do next, a few weeks later, I get a call in the middle of the night. I answer the phone. It's the fire brigade in Leeds. I'm like, yeah, it's Aaron Curry here. We're at your property in Chapeltown. There's been a massive drugs party and they've set the house on fire. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm sat in Scarborough. What do I do now? The house was completely burnt out. At this point, I literally feel like I'm in checkmate. I've got a burnt out house. I've got no bills will go there. The house that was meant to be a stunning investment has cost me money from day one, and now it's burnt out. It's completely fire damaged. Now, to finish this story off, the insurance company pay out £6,000 for the damage. How the heck are you meant to rebuild a house for £6,000? And how the heck are you meant to do that when no one will go there in their van? So I do the only thing that I can think of. I'm like, I just need to stick this back in the auction and get rid of it. It's been a disaster from day one. I never want to go there again. I just want to get rid of it. So I show the house in its current state to potential buyers, and they can see the fire damage. That's how it's being auctioned. Now, what do you think happens? I was expecting to get virtually nothing for the house given its condition. It turns out that fortune's on my side. It sells in the auction. It gets in a bidding war with 3 different people who come from the area and are builders, so no one touches their vans. And it sells for £20,000. So I bought it for 21. I sell it for 20. I get the £6,000 payout from the insurance company. So now that's 26. Lose your costs. There wasn't stamp duty back then. I end up making a small profit. A small profit. The only reason I got away with this, a rising market. If I'd have made that mistake today in the current market that we're just about to go into, I lose my shirt. Now, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is don't do what I did. Don't buy in the wrong area. You've got to buy the right properties. Yes, family lets are an investment strategy. Yes, you don't need to invest near where you live. And you do need to see the property before you buy it. Now that you know the horrors, and most importantly, you need to see the area and understand the area. Now you know the horrors of what can go wrong when you buy the wrong house in the wrong area. Now you can see why area is more important than discount. It wasn't about the price I was buying at. It was about the area. That was the critical thing. The critical thing. What I'd like to do is share with you my golden rules to make sure you only ever buy world-class properties in the right areas. These rules have been battle tested. We've bought over 1,000 properties for our clients, our done-for-you clients, over 200 properties of my own, and all of those properties perform. It delivers houses with high rental demand, great cash flow, and strong capital growth if you follow the rules. If you break the rules, you'll buy rubbish. But if you follow the rules, you get all those 3 things again and again and again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut to a previous training that I've done on this because the recording is a much better quality, and I've got my flip chart. I can explain it all clearly to you. So it's a recording in my own house where I'm sat, but just a different part of the house. And I'll see you in a few moments to cover that recording, and then I'll see you back here. So go learn these golden rules. Make notes like crazy. You're going to love this. So what I want to teach you now is what I call my 6 C's. My 6 C's are the golden rules to make sure you only ever buy world-class investment properties. And it took me till I bought 40 or 50 of these. Now, don't get me wrong, after my first 10, I committed to mastery. I started learning from experts and getting myself in the right place. And, my number 10 to 50, I was doing all right. By property 17, we were able to be financially free if we wanted to. We didn't need to work if we wanted to, etc. But I was still making mistakes. I was still buying the wrong houses, or they weren't performing anywhere near as they should. And it wasn't until I sat down and studied this in detail and really studied it that I came up with my 6 C's. And every house I've bought since, I've got over 200 in my portfolio, helped our clients to buy over 1,000, has to meet these rules. If it fails just one rule, it gets rejected. So what are the rules, I hear you shouting? Well, here's rule number 1. Capacity. C for capacity. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you're buying, these are the rules, by the way, for family-let properties. In video 3, I taught you a number of different strategies, okay, and I chose you to choose one.
If your strategy isn't family let, you need to go find out these rules, learn these rules from a master. I can teach you them, but I'm not doing it on this video. But learn the rules to make sure you buy world-class properties in that strategy. I'm covering right now family lets. So if we go for C for capacity, what do I mean by that? If you're going to get a family let off the nose of buy-to-let, you need it to be a 3 or a 4 bedroom house. Not a flat, not an apartment, not a 2-bed. People say, why not? You get a 1-bedroom flat, somebody moves in it, then they fall in love with someone in that 1-bedroom flat, they move out and move in with them. Okay? That's now a problem for you. You've got an empty property again. You get a 2-bedroom house, somebody moves in with 1 child, they get pregnant, they now are having another child, they need a 3-bedroom house, they move out. And you end up with what I call transiency and transient properties. On average, a tenant change costs you £1,500. That's £1,500 each time the tenant changes. If you lose the tenant once a year, over 10 years, that's a £15,000 problem. If you've got 10 of those properties, that's a £150,000 problem you've now created for yourself. Okay? All because you bought the wrong houses. If you buy the right 3 and 4 bedroom houses that meet the rest of my rules in a moment as well, and you get someone who says, do you know what, I want to live here forever. My mum lives down the road, my uncle, my auntie live up the road, my kids are at the local school, I want to live here forever. You get what I call a lifer. They may not stay forever, but they're going to stay long term. When the door handle breaks, a lifer fixes the door handle. Yeah? When the property needs painting, a lifer rings you up and says, can I paint it? You buy them the paint, they paint it, they decorate it. They stay for life. You don't get that transiency. At the Insight Group, our average tenancy is over 5 years because we buy the right houses. Okay? So we're not paying that £1,500 each year. It's every 5 years or more. And they've done the repairs along the way, so we've saved money along the way as well. So you need to make sure you're buying 3 and 4 bedroom houses. What's the second C? The second C is C for city. What do I mean by city? Well, let me give you an example. And I'm going to give you a Yorkshire-based example. I used to live in Yorkshire. I'm in Wilmslow now, shooting this in Wilmslow in Cheshire. But I used to live in Yorkshire. And when I went out my front door, if I drove about 30 miles, I'd arrive in York. And whether you know York or not, you'll know it's a picturesque place, a cathedral and all that stuff. In York, for £150,000, you'll buy a 3-bedroom house, and it will rent for about £700 a month-ish. Okay? 3-bedroom house. If I went out my front door and went in another direction into Scarborough, North Yorkshire, with my £150,000 house money, I could buy 2 houses for £75,000 each. So I've spent the same amount of money, but I've got 2 properties now. 3-bedroom houses, and they rented out for £560 a month. So now I'm on £1120 a month income from my 2 properties, whereas in York I'm on £700 a month from my property. Now I know over time that properties go up the same. If York goes up 7% this year, next year Scarborough's going to go up 6 to 8%. If York goes down 2% this year, next year Scarborough will go down 1 to 3%. But over time they go up the same. So if over time my investments are going to go up the same, I know what I'd rather have in the meantime. I'd rather have the 1120 of rent rather than the 700 of rent. I'm making an extra 420 a month, which is an extra £5,000 a year while I wait for it to go up. Now, by the way, I'm not telling you to buy properties in Scarborough. There are often, out of the 400 or so we'll buy for our clients this year alone, probably only 5 or 10 will be in Scarborough. There's even better places often to buy. The point I'm making is don't buy just because it's local. Buy for the best return on investment. Get the best town and city that's going to get you the best financial return, and wrap that with an expert team that looks after it so it's a true investment. So you don't have the job of looking after it. So we've got a 3 or 4 bedroom house and we're buying it in the right town or city. What are the next 2 C's? The next 2 are C for capital and C for cash flow. We want capital growth at the table and we want cash flow at the table. You need both. Over time, here is what happens. Early 2000s in the UK, house prices are going up. Okay? Let's say we're in London. House prices are going up. We get to about 2007, 2008. While these house prices are going up, by the way, rents are still going up, but they're going up more slowly. 2007-8, people say, it's too expensive to buy, I'm going to rent. So the house prices slow or even drop a bit. And the rents start going up really, really fast. We get to about 2012, people go, this is crazy, it's more expensive to rent than to buy. So the housing market starts slowing in terms of rental increases. They're still increasing but slower, and the house price starts booming again, 2012. We get to about 2020, before coronavirus, the London market starts slowing, still going up, but people going, it's more expensive to buy than rent, I'm going to rent, and the rents have started rising, okay? The point I want you to get is over time, they're both going up. They're not crashing back down. They're both going up. As an investor, I don't care what's happening today. I care that long-term assets go up in value. That's important. But in time, I've either got my asset going up in value, I can refinance it, draw money out and buy more, or use it to have a fun time. But when the market's not going up in value, like at the moment with coronavirus, it's going to go down a bit, the rents are going up. Supply and demand, they have to either be buying or they're renting, so I make more cash flow profit. Either way, in every economy around the world, at all times, one or the other is going up. As an investor, I win either way. So if I'm in it for the long term, I know both are going to go up, and I win either way in the meantime. So that's the beauty of this. So how do you make sure you get great capital growth? On average in the UK, for the last 85 years, the property market has gone up on average at 7.9% per year. That's on average. That includes all the downturns, the drops, the falls, as well as the up periods. So if we can get national average, we're in an amazing place. So let's imagine we can't get national average. Let's imagine a model. If you're going to model more cautiously. Model at 4% or 5% to be cautious, okay? But we want to get the national average. How do you get the national average for capital growth? 5 core steps. Step 1, you buy in a town or a city. Minimum population, 80,000 people, okay? If you buy in a village and the local factory shuts down and 100 people lose their job, microeconomics kicks in, property market's not changing for the next 10 years, your money's stuck. So you want to buy in a town or a city, minimum population 80,000. Number 2, buy within 5 miles of the town or city centre. You can measure that by the town hall, the train station, I don't mind, okay? If it's Manchester, Birmingham or London, it's within 7 miles, but otherwise it's within 5 miles always. Number 3, buy within 2 miles of a good or outstanding secondary school. So look at the Ofsted reports, it needs to be good or outstanding, you're within 2 miles and you're in the catchment area. Number 3, good public transport network. You know, in most towns or cities you've got that, bus, trams, trains, whatever it is, but you need to be within striking distance. Don't be the other side of the estate where it's 3/4 of a mile walk. Be within striking distance, good public transport network, and finally, good road network, which towns and cities have. If you meet those 5 rules, I can almost guarantee you'll get the national average as a minimum in terms of growth. And that national average isn't going to be great in the next 3-6 months, but if you learn the skill sets, I covered this in video 1, so that you start buying in 3 or 6 months' time, you're going to be buying at the right price point, then you're going to see the assets go up, and you're going to get great cash flow in the meantime. You might not get great cash flow in the next 3 months while we're all isolated, but once we're up and running again, great cash flow, great asset growth, okay? So that's how you get great capital growth. How do you get great cash flow? Very, very simple formula for you. When you're purchasing a property, let's say you're buying it for £100,000, you want the yield to be at least 7.2%. That means if you're buying it for £100,000, you want the rent to be at least £7,200 per year, which is £600 a month. That's 7.2% of the 100k. At least £600 a month. If it's less rent than that for a £100,000 purchase, you run a mile. If it's that rent or more, you're happy to buy it. And then you do that pro rata. If it's a 200k property, it needs to be at least £1,200, etc. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing you need to consider. That's a very, very simple way of checking that out. If you want to check it out in a slightly more complex way, which is still really simple, you can take the rent that is coming in. So let's say the rent is $650 a month. You knock off the mortgage, you knock off the maintenance cost, you knock off the insurance cost. So in this example, let's say the mortgage was $300, the maintenance cost was £80 a month, and the insurance was $20. So I've got £400 of costs going out in total. $650 coming in, $400 going out. Okay? I've got $250 left. I've got to pay for my letting agent. My letting agent might be £70 a month. Let's say £80 a month. So if I take them off as well, I'm left with £170 a month. That doesn't sound like a lot, £170 a month, okay? But I'm going to be cautious with my mortgage rates. I'm going to be cautious with my refurbishment budget, cautious with my insurance. So that property might be making me about £300 a month, but I've modelled it cautiously, okay? And I'm covering it quickly now. I'll give you a lot more detail later on in this series. So if that property is making me £170 a month, and it was rented for 11 months of the year, let's say, at the end of the year, I'm going to have something like £1,800 in the bank, 17, 18, £1,900. If the property is empty in the 12th month, I've got enough money there to cover the rent for the 12th month. The £650 rent is covered by the profit I've made in the first 11. If you make sure every property you have meets that rule, so that the cash flow it generates, being cautious, times 11 is enough to cover month 12, I never have to put money in this deal again. Once I've bought the asset, it never costs me another penny ever again. How many of those assets would you like? Each month you pull the handle and cash comes out. It never costs you another penny again. You'd like as many as you can get. And then I'll teach you how to, once you've bought the house, get your money back out again to buy more with or go spend on a holiday and have fun with. Now you've got an asset that cost you nothing ultimately. You got your money back out and it makes you money every day for the rest of your life. This is what professional property investors do. This is what you can do if you follow these rules. Let's look at the fifth C. The fifth C is C for check. Most professional investors I know don't follow this C and they still make mistakes. The C for check means before you buy the house, check it will rent first. Check there's a demand for it. You run an advert on Zoopla, in the local paper to advertise the property you're thinking of buying. Of course, you can't show pictures of the very house because you don't own it yet. But you say, look, a 3-bedroom property, Nelson Street, double glazed, gas central heating, £650 a month. And you're checking how many phone calls you make. It's a numbers game. If within that first week you get 10 or more phone calls, people interested, you're going to go ahead and buy, as long as it meets all the other rules. If you get less than 10 phone calls, even if it's only 9, you might have the perfect 3-bedroom house in the right city, right cash flow, right capital growth, but you only get 9 calls. You're walking away. You're deselecting this property. It has to meet every single C fully or you don't buy, because there'll be another house on the next town, the next street that meets all the rules plus this one. So if you get just 9 calls, you're walking away. Here's what used to happen when I first bought properties. I used to buy a house. 5 people would call me interested. 3 people would view it. 1 person would want it. And I used to celebrate. I'd be like, I've got a tenant. In reality, they were the only human being out of 7 billion on the planet that wanted my miserable house. That's how rubbish my house was. Whereas if you run an advert and 20 people are interested, and 10 people view it and 5 people want it, same ratios, 5 people want it, now you can ask for bank statements, references, guarantors, the works. If that puts 1 or 2 of them off, fine, there's still 3 or 4 that want it. Now you're choosing the tenant, they are not choosing you. If that tenant then stops paying the rent or starts trashing your property, you'll deal with them ethically, but if they don't get caught up, you'll get them out. And you'll be totally confident you can re-let it. In my early days, I was scared to get them out. They weren't paying me, they were trashing my property, but I knew if I got them out, I might not get another one. So I stuck with the devil I knew instead of changing it. You've got to have good demand for your property, otherwise you should never buy it. Never buy it. Final piece, the 6th C, contingency. Do not invest in property and put every single penny you've got in the deal and leave yourself with nothing left. What if the boiler breaks? What if there's a problem? So in family-let properties, whatever you're going to invest, keep 4.5% of it as a protection buffer. So if you're going to invest £100,000, you put $95,500 down and $4,500 stays in your rainy day bank account to protect the investment. If you're going to invest £50,000, it's still 4.5%. So 47,750 gets invested and 2,250 gets put in the rainy day bank account. You keep if it's $1 million, you keep 45,500 to one side and you put the other 955,000 in. You make sure you're keeping 4.5% to one side to protect your investment. Then you've got your investment up and running. It's making you cash flow profit every month on top. Let's say you've got 3, giving you £200 a month each. It's going up £600 a month every month. Eventually, if a boiler breaks, you've got plenty there to pay for it, and this pot gets bigger and bigger, and then you can buy some more properties. And the properties go up in value, and you can release money from them, and you can buy some more properties. And then you get number 4. You haven't put any of your own money in now. Those 3 have paid for the 4th. Then the 4 go up in value, and they make you all profit, and even faster you get number 5. And they go up, and even faster you get number 6, because you bought to the right rules. Because you bought to the right rules. So these 6 C's are absolutely business critical. These 6 C's at the Insight Group, when we're investing, we will look at properties that come in with a 15% genuine market discount. And most investors would jump at that. Great, they've got a discount. Because of the other C's, we reject 59 out of 60 of those properties that other people would buy. We say, no, not good enough. And that's how rigorous I want you to be. Now, does this take some effort? Yeah. Does this take some time? Yeah. But you're only going to buy 8, 9, 10 of these babies. So you may as well buy the best ones and get them in your portfolio. And if you learn these skills over the next 2-3 months, so you lock this stuff down and get this stuff in your locker, then when the market is there, that people need your help, they need to sell, the builders need to sell, the people getting divorced or splitting up need to sell, the people who find out, when they need your help, you'll have the skill set to help them and to build that financial fortress for yourself.
Okay, so welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you can now see how you can use those golden rules, my golden rules, to buy world-class property in your area. Remember, these are houses with high rental demand, great monthly cash flow, and strong equity growth. Houses that give you all the profits without any of the hassle. If you follow these rules, you'll buy in the right area, and you'll have a highly profitable and stress-free property journey. What value that? Not worrying about this, but getting to benefit from all of the upside of it, but it being stress-free and a stress-free property journey. We've come a long way together in this video series, and we've got a long way to go if I'm going to show you how to get the right mindset and the right skill set to build a buy-to-let portfolio that gives you a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension would, and how you can achieve that all within 4 years if only you learn how to buy 3 houses, 3 of the right houses in the right areas in the next 12 months. That's all you need to do, and anybody can do this. Whatever you're starting with, you can build 3 houses in the next 12 months, and you within 4 years will have a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension would create. So that's why, because we've got a lot more ground still to cover, I'd like to invite you to a live training. It's free on Wednesday night, called How a Buy-to-Let Portfolio Can Give You a Bigger Lifetime Income Than £1 million pension in only 4 years if you can buy 3 of the right houses this year. You see, the real secret of my model is that it allows you to create a life-changing property income with virtually no tax being paid. How's that possible? That's exactly what I'd like to share with you on a webinar called How a Buy-to-Let Portfolio Can Give You a Bigger Lifetime Income Than £1 million pension in only 4 years if you can buy 3 of the right houses this year. Now, here's just a taste of what you're going to discover. You're going to discover why house prices will fall 5 to 10% in October, November 2020, and when they'll bounce back. I'll go through and cover again my golden rules to buy world-class properties live with you in person, houses with high rental demand, great monthly cash flow, and strong equity growth. And I'll share with you the one thing that makes it easy to buy 2 or 3 houses in the next 12 months for anyone, regardless of where you're starting, and how to turn them into a passive income. So you want to join me on this live webinar. To register for the webinar, just click the link that's down below this video somewhere, and I look forward to seeing you then. So in the meantime, thank you for sharing this time with me. As I always say, invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom. Click on the link right now and join me live this Wednesday. Can't wait to help you with the next steps on your property journey. I'll see you really soon. Thank you.